What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What's up, everybody? Look, dude, we were literally live like 8 hours ago, and it's been so nutty since then. Like, this market's gone so crazy since then. I'm like, well, we might as well just do it again. We might as well just do it again. You know what I mean? I told you guys, I've really been enjoying these streams. I've really been enjoying coming on, and so I'm just gonna keep doing it. And I'm not gonna say I'm gonna do them every day. I'm not even gonna say how many times a week I'm gonna do them, but we're gonna do them while we're having fun. While we're having fun. And so today, what I wanted to talk about is what happened over the last like 6 or 7 hours. Some of you just learned a very, very valuable lesson, I would assume, that I think is going to be carried with you guys a pretty damn long way. Just because it was a rather substantial lesson to learn. And so because of that, obviously, we're going to be talking about that today. We're also then going to talk about some news that just came out that I do believe is really important. It kind of seemed to be what sparked this, but obviously there's no guarantee that it's what sparked this, but it seemed to be to me to what sparked kind of a lot of this move. So gonna do that, maybe do a little brief TA session, then we're gonna go ahead and jump off. This one might be a little bit of a shorter stream. We might only be on for like 40 minutes, 30 minutes, but obviously at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Just want to give you guys some information and talk about the things that I think are important. So let's talk about the lesson. Okay, let's talk about the lesson. What I will say also, I was sick like a week ago. I'm still like, my throat, like my voice is still weird. I don't know why. So if I sound like scratchy, I'm okay. I'm just kidding. I'm being held hostage. Help me. So let's go first into it. Okay, so what happened last night? So last night, we saw the market getting smashed, right? Like we saw some cryptos literally drop 10%, 30%, 40% within the span of like an hour. Okay. Mostly the ones that were, dropping that fast were micro caps. But at the end of the day, many of our cryptos were not, they just weren't doing that well, right? Now, because of that, obviously, it led a lot of people to kind of be a little bit nervous and worried. And, we talked about that on stream. I said, look, I understand why you're nervous. I understand why you're worried. But at the end of the day, like what we're seeing in this crypto market is not bad. I told you, you have to understand that this is going to happen. It's going to get much worse than this. It could fall further than this. And so you just need to understand that at the end of the day, what we're seeing in crypto is long-term bullish, and it'll have moments where it's short-term bearish. It's what has to happen. Yeah, dude, that's what we're talking about, brother. And so because of that, while the market was falling, I told you guys, look, this might not last very long. You don't know. There's no way of knowing how long it's going to last. We see these moments in crypto where crypto is going up, 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 and bam, and it drops. Then it continues up, and bam, then it drops. It's just what happens within these bull markets. And so because of that, it was like, okay, well, what do we do as a result of that? Like, what do we do as a result of that? And what I told you all last night was that in those moments, like last night, we did it on stream, we were buying crypto. Okay. Now let's talk about some of the ones that we bought. So now we can get an idea of what's happened. So let's go ahead. Let's present. No, I don't want to present a video file, brother. I want to present share screen, entire screen, screen 2. Let's go, baby. So looking at this thing, what we can see here is we bought a couple. Okay. The first one that we bought, obviously, was a little bit of Bitcoin. Now, I told you I wasn't buying a ton of Bitcoin, but what you can see is that I told you, look, yeah, I think this is a little bit of a decent buy. The reason I thought it was a decent buy was because on the 30-minute time frames, we got this HG Algo dollar cost average plus notification, and I hope you guys now see what I mean. I told you all the DCA plus feature is one of the best features in the world of crypto in terms of telling people decent times to add to their bags. And look what happened. Again, HG Algo is something that we designed, my company, we designed it, so I know it works. I know what went into it, and I know what it takes for this to flash. And I know it's very good. And as you can see here, it literally flashes right here, right before Bitcoin goes on this massive rally to the upside, right? And so, again, had you done some DCAing right here when everyone was all nervous and a little bit worried? Obviously, we had just saw Bitcoin just kind of fall over the span of an hour. It fell down, 2.5% to 3%, which is not shit, by the way, but felt kind of ugly, right? In that moment, we were just DCAing. We just bought a little bit, just, chill out. That's all you can do. Just chill out. And then boom, obviously price goes to the upside. Okay. Let's look at some more options. Solana was one that we didn't get the DCA plus flash feature on until we got towards like the very bottom, as you can see. And so like we had obviously like we were pulling back here and we obviously kind of came back and we retested. But then once we got down here, that's whenever we got that DCA plus feature. This was around the live stream. I think our live stream was around here. And so because of that buy, of course, obviously we're sitting high now, we're doing really good. And this is actually a very good sign for Solana because obviously we did recapture this previous point of support, but I'm going to do the full blown TA session in a little while here. I just want to kind of give you an update on the ones that we bought last night and how they're doing first. Obviously make sure you don't miss the streams, right? Because had you gotten on some of these buys, you'd be doing pretty damn good. So yeah, I mean, Solana looking up pretty damn nice, about 8 to 9% or 7 to 8% to the upside there, looking pretty good. BNB, we didn't buy any BNB last night. Jasmy, we did buy a little bit of Jasmy. Jasmy's that what? Use that support level. Boom. DCA plus feature flashed here. I think Jasmy was one of the ones with the was it one of the ones with the hourly flash? No, it wasn't. Okay. Got the DCA plus feature flashing here. Beautiful move to the upside. Fantastic. Fantastic. That's positive. Going a little bit further. I wasn't too interested in these. I said I thought Shiba was a good buy. We obviously did get the DCA plus flash feature there. I said that there is a possibility for it to continue lower, and there is still that possibility. Honestly, like it's still very possible. But again, we are still seeing it doing pretty damn well, right? Sitting high and dry, made that nice move. Let's see if it can hold some support and continue back upwards to start to recapture some of this, or if it's going to use this as like a bit of an ABC correction and look for a continuation. We'll talk about again all that towards the end of the video when we do the TA session. Just going over the buys again. And I can't remember if we had any more purchases. I cannot remember. I think that was the majority of it. And then obviously we had Ethereum DCA plus feature flashes, which is, I mean, absolutely beautiful. Look what happened here. Got the DCA plus feature flashing. Good time to buy it right here. We obviously got the breakout to the upside, went for the overextension. I would say this is probably sitting at this micro 618 or 1.272. Yep, almost there. Almost there. Not there yet, but getting pretty close. So that's interesting as well. So overall, the market was pulling back. We knew that this was a good opportunity to buy last night. I told you all it was a good opportunity to buy on most cryptos. I said be cautious, and I still do believe you should be cautious because we're not out the woods yet. But again, it's done extremely well from what we've seen right now. And on top of that, also, Bitcoin dominance has now broken out to the upside. I told you all to be very careful of it. And now it does seem as if Bitcoin dominance is going to try to make this move above 53.8%. If it does sustain this year and it can hold some support here, I would expect Bitcoin to continue to outperform altcoins, possibly over the next month. And we are approaching the halving month, so this isn't all that surprising. And so obviously, again, because of that, with this breakout here, it tells me obviously altcoins are probably going to get smacked up by Bitcoin. And that's evident, it's kind of evident. This is just by what we're seeing from Bitcoin in comparison to many of your other alts. So I'm not saying obviously it's going to perform everything. There will be alts that outperform Bitcoin, but from a general perspective, Bitcoin does seem to be in a position to be the leader right now. And so if I'm doing any DCAing, I'm probably heavily going into Bitcoin still a little bit, at least for my short-term DCAs or stuff like that. Okay, so overall, that's the update there. Now, there's a lesson. There's a lesson in all of this in the sense that last night I told you all, look, no matter what the charts say, no matter what they say, no matter how it feels, no matter, you could have the prettiest head and shoulders structure you could possibly find in the world. Okay. This market is a bull market. This is a real bull market. We are in the middle of it right now. Okay. Probably already halfway or maybe even more than halfway through it. And because of that, no matter how bearish things feel, you would be doing yourself a disservice, in my opinion, if you let that bearishness kind of turn into a more, I'm trying to think of this. If you don't use that bearish, short-term thesis, if you don't use that and flip it to see how you can use that for your more long-term bullish thesis, you're going to do yourself a disservice. I told you all, look, even though things may look ugly, things may look down, things may look like they're about to pull back, you need to think instead of, oh, damn, the market looks like it's going to fall, you need to think, oh, damn, this is an opportunity for me to buy more prior to the move continuing to the upside. And the reason being is that the likelihood is here, these moves will continue to the upside. We will see crypto continue to be able to rally to the upside throughout the vast majority of this market. And yes, there may be a month or 2 months or 3 months of negativity. There may be a couple months of the prices pulling back, but the general direction of this thing is upwards. And if you allow that short-term bearish thesis to substantiate into you not doing anything or you selling all of your crypto, not taking profits and selling your crypto is different in my opinion. But if you do that, you're going to lose usually. Maybe not lose, but you're not going to win as much as you could have, and that's going to be really upsetting to you. And so the way that I can use that as an example is just look at what happened with Bitcoin. We knew that this market looked like it was about to pull back. I said, hey, there's a chance we start to interact with some of these key support levels. You just need to be aware that this is a possibility. This is an option on the table right now, right? And then once you knew that this was an option on the table, I said, although that is the case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a little bit right now because we are getting the DCA plus feature as it was breaking out to the downside. And if it continues downward, I'm going to buy more and more and more. Now, I didn't get the opportunity to buy more and more and more, but that's okay because I bought a little bit because I turned my short-term thesis into an opportunity to fund and fuel my long-term thesis. I hope that makes sense. And so because of that, again, where we are right now is actually pretty damn good, pretty damn interesting. Okay. Now, as I mentioned before, there was some pretty damn big news that came out regarding, and again, we're going to go into a quick TA session towards the middle to end of this live stream. So stay tuned for that. Okay. Let's go ahead and get this pulled up. I looked up this morning. Here we go. Give me 1 second. I got to find a good website that's not going crazy with too many ads. Because I don't free promo, brother. Here we go. All right, this works. All right. So, what's the news of the day? The news of the day was that we got news that UK's FCA opens the door for institutional investors to build crypto-backed ETN market. This is very similar to the US building ETFs. Okay, extremely similar. So what you can see here is that, let's go down. The UK's Financial Conduct Authority said it will not object to requests from recognized investment exchanges to build a listed market segment for crypto asset-backed exchange rate nodes. The regulator stated in a press release on Monday a further sign of increased institutionalization of cryptocurrency markets. The products would be available to professional investors, including investment firms and credit institutions. ETNs are a type of exchange-traded product, often issued by a banker and investment manager that tracks an underlying index or assets. So as I mentioned before, it's a very, very similar to an ETF. Okay, it's extremely similar. Maybe not so much built in the sense that it's like, how do you explain it? With a lot of ETFs, okay, you're usually looking at a bundle. You're buying a bundle, and it's usually a lot of a lot of stocks, a lot of not cryptos, but you get the point, right? Underlying assets. ETNs aren't necessarily built specifically for a higher quantity, but they are built around quality, right? And this is actually a pretty damn good sign, okay? Going forward, they say exchanges will be responsible for making sufficient controls are in place so that trading is orderly and proper protection is given to professional investors. The London Stock Exchange confirmed that it will accept applicants for Bitcoin and Ether ETNs in the second quarter of this year. That's interesting. That's precedent. Okay. Bitcoin broke past its $71,000 barrier and Ether crossed 4,000 on Monday, while broader CoinDesk 20 index rose 0.5%. So, what does this mean? Well, and here, let me give you the professional definition just so you can have it with you. Here we go. Okay. Binga, banga, boonga, binga, binga. Here we go. So, an exchange traded note is an unsecured debt security that tracks an underlying index of securities. ETNs are similar to bonds, but do not pay periodic interest payments. Investors can build and sell ETNs on major exchanges, such as stocks, and profit from the difference, subtracting any fees. Now, regarding is an ETN better than an ETF? ETNs are considered riskier than ETFs because they combine default risk and market risk. Okay. So, is this like the craziest news ever? No, it's really not the craziest news ever. It's not to the magnitude of what happened with the ETFs in the United States, right? But it is a good step because it opens up the door, which is absolutely important, for some of those things to further develop later down the line, okay? And what, in my opinion, this says to me is that we're starting to see that overall more mass adoption that we wanted to see, right? Because what I want you to think about is the fact that in 2021, we didn't start getting many of these governments accepting crypto and embracing crypto, and many of these, legal systems giving the okay to crypto, giving regulatory clarity. We didn't really have any of that until maybe the end, if at all. And the fact that we're starting to see what's happening in the US with ETFs with Bitcoin, the fact that now the UK is expecting that ETNs will be delivered towards the second quarter, which starts next month, right? Because of that, it tells me that they're starting to embrace crypto early on. And my thing is this. Why do you think that is the case? Like, let's be honest here. Why do you think that is the case? If they didn't see potential, if they didn't think that their investors could make money, if they didn't think that crypto was going to perform well over the next year or 2 years, do you think genuinely that they would allow this? No. And what we're seeing in the UK right now, and the fact that they're now opening this up in the United Kingdom, tells me that likely throughout Europe, this is going to be a much more common thing, because the UK is a precedent setter within Europe, from my understanding, right? And if they go ahead and give the okay to something, oftentimes you'll see that okay granted to multiple other countries in the, the kind of the surrounding areas, okay? And so because of that, obviously, knowing what's happening in Asia, which is bullish for crypto, knowing what's happening in the US, which is bullish for crypto, and now we have Europe hopefully really stepping up to the plate and saying, okay, it's our turn. It tells me that we're going to be able to see this continued mass adoption across multiple different cryptos, multiple different niches, and a new one, which is ETH. Because based off of this news, they're opening that door up for ETH as well. And it's interesting because with in the US, for example, Gary Gensler, that bald dickhead, he's like, no, Bitcoin's cool, but ETH's not cool, right? ETH's a security, whatever you want to make of it, it's just stupid, right? And the fact that, in the US, it's going to be a while before we get like an Ethereum ETF. It's just probably not something that we're going to see immediately. That's going to have a whole different battle than Bitcoin. You got to think about how long it took for Bitcoin to get it. It's probably going to be a little while, but the fact that we're already starting to see some kind of legislational easing of something like Ethereum in the UK, it kind of sets precedent that hopefully can spread a little bit across multiple countries, multiple regions, across multiple governments. And that would be important to getting us out there, because obviously ETH is the king of alts, and it may forever be the king of alts, even if it's not the highest market cap alt one day, right? That's just the truth. ETH is kind of like the staple of the altcoin community. And so because of that, in my opinion, the fact that this is now opening up a door to that tells me that we could genuinely see altcoins really rallying as liquidity does start to get injected into altcoins, into Ethereum and some of your top 5 cryptos. And so because of that, I do believe this is the reason why we're seeing the market pump, and mix in with the fact that we're just in a bull market, and sometimes these little fake outs happen. We talked about that, and that's an interesting thing that I just mentioned. I'm glad I said that, because I wanted to talk about this at some point. You guys remember, right, what I said last night? Last night I told you there's going to be moments within this bull market where we're going to get these big ass wicks to the downside, right? Wicks like this, or a wick like this, or a move like this, right? Boom, boom, straight up, straight down. And I told you all the reason that happens is because the market manipulators want to liquidate as many people as possible. And if they identify that the market, there's say a ton of liquidations around 67.5K or $67,000 or right below $67,000, you bet your ass the market is going to head in that direction, right? It's just what's going to happen. It's just how this world of crypto works. Okay. And the fact that, we got this move to the downside kind of just further shows that is that you can't believe these moves sometimes. You can't stress out whenever the market falls, because it could easily just turn right back around and people are going to get liquidated and it's going to go about its merry way. And so because of that, obviously, I want you to understand that one of two things. Again, you have to be prepared for the liquidations like we've talked about. And the second thing, like I said, is that you have to be prepared for and you have to be ready for is that these liquidations are going to happen. And if you overextend yourself on leverage, you're going to lose. I told you that last night, and look where we are now. Okay, look where we are now. And so because of that, again, I hope you do take that to heart and you understand that this market is going to have moments like last night, and it's going to have moments like this morning within the span of 12 hours. You just have to be prepared for it. Stick to a strategy, maintain your strategy, and continue forward. So now we know what's going on, okay? We obviously, just to kind of recap, man, we're going to jump into the chat here. So if you have any questions, leave them in the chat. I'm going to answer questions. I'm going to do some TA, and then we're going to jump off here. Let's go over a brief summary. Summary number 1. In those moments where the market falls, especially in the next few months, I believe it would be absolute best case scenario to be buying. I use HG Algo. Again, it's it's an indicator that my company designed that tells you when it's a good time to add to your position. You can use the link down below if you'd like. It's what I do for all of my investing. Okay. I just don't have time to stare at charts anymore all day. Okay. And so because of that, again, as I mentioned before, you need to be, in my opinion, I'm not a financial advisor, blah, 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 blah. You need to be buying in the moments where the market dips, because historically speaking, that will lead to bullishness, especially while we're in a bull market. I'm not talking necessarily about a bear market. I'm not talking about 2022. I'm not talking about 2023-ish, right? Not necessarily talking about those, because at the end of the day, those dip and keep dipping, okay? There's a different strategy there. But in this bull market, I think at the beginning of the market, like right now, before we do really get over leveraged and overextended, I genuinely think that buying on these little dips is a good thing. It's a good idea. It's something that you should do. And obviously last night, like with what we did, it kind of proved that. Second thing that we talked about, and this is summarized before we go into the next thing, is that in these moments, you're going to see liquidations all over the place. People are getting smashed to the downside, smashed to the upside. The best thing you can do, not over leverage, not 100x leverage. If you don't want to, or if you don't know how to, right? If you can isolate it to your strategy, totally fine. Totally fine. But don't use 100x leverage if you don't know what you're doing, because liquidations will happen and you will lose. And then the last thing that we talked about a little bit is just kind of some brief technical analysis, which we're about to go into next, right, coming up here. So let's answer a couple questions from the chat, and then let's go ahead and move on to some technical analysis. Also, like the video if you haven't liked it yet. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. So these dips don't last long. I said that in last night's live stream. Yeah, they don't. They just don't. Simple as that. Duke said, didn't you already do a dump video? Yeah, I did. We were talking about the market dumping when the market was dumping like 8 hours ago, and now the market's pumping. We're talking about the market pumping, you can't harp too much on the titles. I should have thought Bonk and Sheeb would be flying. They're not doing shit. Well, you remember I told you, right? It's liquidity cycles. We talked about that before. Shout out to Hamzat Shemaev, though. That's a shout out to you. I love MMA fans in the chat. It's Bitcoin's time to shine right now. Also have their moment patience. I agree. I think that Bitcoin's in a spot where Bitcoin's probably going to lead the market for a little bit here. I do agree with that. TA for Bitcoin goes out the window now. I don't necessarily think it goes out the window because there are extension levels that I think are going to play a massive role. But obviously, TA is a lot harder when you have no liquidity levels in price discovery. I do agree with that. Could you do TA on Kaspa? Yeah, we'll do TA on Kaspa in a second here. Good morning, my brother, Rob Russ. What's up, dude? We set presidents until it comes in. Solana predicting I go first, $375. I think that's a great price prediction. I'm kind of leaning a little bit higher. I'm leaning a little bit like $500, $600. Not right now, obviously, but I think end of run, 500, 600 conservatively. Don't let me tell you my ultra bullish price prediction. All the coins will be bullish, right? No, not necessarily. It's not like every crypto is for sure going to go up. This dude, Austin Swallow, never goes to sleep. Lord of mercy. It's not necessarily guaranteed that all cryptos are going to go up, but I think the vast majority will. In the top 50 over time, right? I'd say 60 to 70% of them should. What do you think about what Sheeb is doing? Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second. Real quick, Doge or Sheeb? I'd probably go Sheeb. This is one of my teammates, and he's a psychopath. Also, what is your take on Meta? I don't know enough about it to really give a pure prediction. I've always jokingly said I think Solana can hit $2,200. That pisses a lot of people off when I say that, but we'll see. But obviously, the biggest thing is the supply is a major problem. There's no getting the $2,200 with the amount of supply we have now would be quite difficult. But whatever. We'll go over that in a sec. Went heavy on Soul back in the 40 range and no this pump. Let's hit 1K. Let's go. Shout out to you. Great pump. Round of applause. Okay. If it doesn't buying a house, I'll fucking buy a couple. For sure. Okay. All right, let's go into it. Let's do some quick TA and then I'm gonna jump off. I have a meeting in 40 minutes. Man, I actually have a pretty important meeting today. I'm actually nervous, but I kind of went live just to distract myself from my nerves. And it's so weird, bro, because I've been running this company for 3 years now or something like that. And I always trust my gut and I trust my decisions. But the meeting we have today is to bring someone really big on board in terms of promotion for HG Algo, actually. And it's actually just exciting. I just don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope they say yeah. I can try to sell it to them and just kind of see what they think. Hopefully they don't shit on it, obviously. But no one has yet. And obviously a lot of people are making a lot of gains. So it'll be interesting to say the least. But we'll see what happens. Good nerves. It's always good to have some nerves in the morning, All righty. Let's get into this. Let's jump into seeing what's going on in this market. Okay. Quick updates. Going into Bitcoin here. Let's talk about what I'm thinking for Bitcoin now. Is Bitcoin a buy now? Nope. Wouldn't be buying. We bought last night right here. I definitely this dude is crazy. I definitely wouldn't really be buying here. I don't think that's the best idea in the short term. In the long term, if you want to buy right here, I still don't think it's necessarily a bad idea because I do think it can continue to the upside. But clearly, we just went vertical off this DCA plus feature flashing. It's buying right now just feels like a kind of a crazy game to be playing. Now, in terms of where this thing could go, obviously there's a lot of potential. Obviously there's a lot of potential with where it could go. We just cleared the 1.272 Fibonacci extension level at $71,528. So because of that, the door to 75.24K could be open. You guys know I'm a very, very firm believer in the Fibonaccis, and they work extremely well. And in my opinion, at this given point, just based off of what we're seeing, if Bitcoin is going to be able to maintain support above 71.52K, yeah, I think the door to 75K is open. But again, that's a tough task. That is definitely a tough task. And so what I would say is that if you are looking for support, just where's general support is surely now $71,493. If that level is lost, I think we're probably on track to 69,000. It back test maybe even 70,000. Let's go a little bit higher, call it 70,000. I would expect some type of pullback there. And so the way that I would play this personally is that if you wanted to, go on a long leverage trade here, which I don't necessarily recommend, but if that's what you want to do, what I would do personally is I'm opening up the long trade here, stop loss set around $71,000 to the downside. If we lose 71, likely back test and continuation here. So obviously that stop loss should go into effect there. Take profit levels would be about halfway to our 1.618 Fibonacci extension. So I mean, roughly $73,500 to the upside on a decent long trade. Take profit level number one, take profit level number two being right around $75,000. But obviously, again, that's going to be a tall task. That's going to be a tough task. That's not going to be very easy. And we might not even get close to that. Okay. So if I'm going to buy, if I'm forced to create a trade, open a trade right here, that's the trade I would open. But I personally would just leave this shit alone. We bought some back here. I would just leave it alone. Just see what happens. That's one of the best things you can do in price discovery. But again, stop loss set around $70,000, or sorry, 70. Let's go 70, right under $71,000, so like 70.9K. Take profit levels 35.5, then 75. That's the general play that I would have here. Okay. Going a little bit further, let's go on to Solana. Solana currently looking actually pretty damn good. Told you guys again, what we're seeing from Solana is actually pretty damn impressive. And actually, what I want to do is this. Okay. So first and foremost, from a short-term time perspective, let's actually see what's going on with this Fibonacci. Boom. Boom. So yeah, so what you can see is Solana is now operating well off of that fib. We obviously put in the 1.272 Fibonacci extension at $143. We came up to this resistance, back test, fell, cleared it, opened the door, came back higher, low establishment, broke out, used it to go upwards, back tested the 1.6 or the 0.618 to 786 box, use that to continue upwards. So Solana has technically put in one of the most beautiful, euphoric bullish moves that I've seen in a while. And so now, because of that, what I would go ahead and say is that Solana is in the same spot as Bitcoin. Solana is now going to try to use this 1.272 clearing to get itself up to 167, right? The next breakout target is 1.618. But it's a tough task. That's a tall tale. Would I be buying Solana right now? No, I would not. We bought some Solana down here, and I'm leaving it alone now. But if I had to do it, what I would say is that at this point, I would be opening up a long trade with a stop loss set right around $138. If $138 is lost, I would be expecting a back test to roughly $125, but possibly even lower, back towards $113. So I would clearly want to close that trade then before getting liquidated. Take profit levels would first start around $150 for a quick little trade if you want it. But obviously that's not much of a gain right now. Oh no, it's at $149. Yeah, it's too late. Never mind. I was looking at $143. $150 would have been met already. So now that it's been met already, I would be looking for that move back up towards 169 to 170. So I would set my take profits probably around 163, probably, kind of stop that trade a little bit early. Okay. And so because of that, obviously, again, about $160 is what I would be expecting my take profit level on this pump that we're currently seeing from Solana. But again, I wouldn't personally take that trade because it's just, again, buying into price discovery right now is just risky. I like to buy on pullbacks. I like to buy on cooldowns when we have structure. I like that. We bought last night. So again, it doesn't feel like the right move to me right now. But again, that is what I would do if you were kind of you're itching, you're fiending for a move. Okay. Buy here, general buy there, $138 stop loss, take profit level right around $160. Let's go ahead and call it that. Okay. Decent move. Wouldn't be a huge move, but it's like 6%. Yeah, about 6%, 7% to the upside. Okay. If you do want to do any trading, by the way, guys, I did leave a link for you down in the description below. It's to Margex. If you do trade on Margex, a couple things, you don't have to KYC, meaning you don't have to give them any of your personal information. You just deposit funds and start trading. You also don't need a VPN from anywhere in the world. You can just start trading on leverage. They have 1x or 2x leverage up to 100x leverage on certain cryptos. Another thing as well, if you do use the link that I have down below, you will get a sign-up bonus of a couple $100. That'll help you with fees and things like that. So make sure you check it out. It's a great opportunity, and it's really easy to use the platform. So if you do want to trade, use the link down below. I am an affiliate of theirs. I will get a kickback, obviously, if you do sign up and you start trading. So just putting that out there for you. Now, again, so that's what I'd be doing for Solana. Looking at BNB is absolutely making a fucking crucial move right now, and I would not be buying BNB by any means until something specific happens. So what we can see is that BNB is now attempting to re-clear this 618 to 786 box at around $528 to the upside. Obviously, this is one of the most important Fibonacci retracement zones based off of just the swing high down to the swing low, right? all-time high down to bear market low creates the strongest 618 to 786 bucks you'll ever see. And BNB is attempting right now to clear that level. If it clears that level, guys, it opens the door not only just to the previous high, but it opens the door to the 1.272 box, which looks like a $990 BNB. Okay, it looks like a $990 BNB, and that obviously is still over, right under a 2x in price from here. Okay, so because of that, I don't really care if BNB's price doesn't maintain the breakout. I just want to see that it's capable of getting a couple closes above $528. Because again, if it is capable of doing so, the door is now open, and I might go on some big ass buys on BNB, expecting that over the long term, even if this happens, that we're gonna get this move to the upside. You remember what Solana did right here, right? It broke. Look at this. Think about this. Solana broke the 618 to 786 bucks, came all the way back down to backtest support, but then rallied straight up. That's what I'm wanting BNB to do as well. I want to see this thing break to the upside of the 618 to 786 bucks. And at that point, I am going to start buying. Even if this is the top of the move, I don't care. The macro sense then puts this thing possibly up towards $1,000. And so, of course, I'm going to be buying some more on BNB. But personally, right now, I absolutely would not be buying some BNB until we can get a clear break, because this level is one of the strongest levels of resistance BNB is ever going to run into. And so obviously, because of that, the possibility of a pullback without opening that door is there. I want to see that door open first. So let BNB clear $528 before you have that more bullish conviction that in the long term, it's going to really rally to the upside. Because again, it could easily pull back. It could easily pull back. Okay. Going into Kaspa, then we're going to get, let me pull Shiba up here a little bit. 1 second. There we go. Okay, let's do that after Jasmy. Okay, so going into Kaspa, what is Kasma? Lord. Okay, here we go. Looking at Kaspa, of course, what I told you all was that, Kaspa's doing actually a really good job right now. And this is something I'm okay to see, but now we have a decision to make. I am actually going to buy some Kaspa right now. And buy right now, I literally mean right now. Hold on 1 second. Because I'm actually curious. And this is a good time, in my opinion. I'm not give me 1 second. All right, here we go. So let me go in. I'm actually going to pick up some Kaspa as we speak. And I could do it after the stream, but I just want to do it right now because I don't know what Kaspa's going to do. Guys, by the way, I'm not guaranteeing that this thing isn't going to fall. It could fall. I don't care. This is a decent time to be dollar cost averaging, in my opinion. We are still sitting around that general level that we got the HG Algo Flash, right? We got HG Algo flashing back here at this level. Then we also got it last night on the 30-minute time frames. Or no, we didn't get it on 30-minute time frames. Hold on 1 second. It was we checked one of them. I can't remember. Oh, I got you. No. It was back here. It was this one. And this was from Tuesday. I was just saying that it was on the same general level. And then we were putting in this double bottom off of that DCA plus feature. That's the one. I knew we saw it. I just thought it flashed last night, but it didn't flash last night. But still, I'm still going to buy it. I just bought a little bit of it. I just bought it on a centralized exchange so I can do it quickly. But again, the reason why I am buying a little bit of Kaspa right now is because of what we are seeing. Okay. You can see here that Kaspa established beautiful move here. We established this all-time high. We came back down to this low, broke out to the upside, ran into resistance, got a little pullback, and shot up through that all-time high, broke through resistance. Now that it's broke through resistance, it's coming back down, trying to build some support on top of that resistance. We are struggling to get through this. Wick, over and over and over again, meaning the bulls keep stepping in every single time Kaspa tries to pull through this level. And so because of that, in my opinion, there is a chance, there's at least a chance that Kaspa is going to try to make this move to the upside and maybe even clear upwards to, 17 cents to 18 cents again. And I'd like to be a part of that. I'd like to get my Kaspa bag a little bit bigger than it is. And I think this is a good time to be DCAing. And so, yeah, sure, it may, pull back down. I don't really care. I'll literally just buy some more. It doesn't make a damn difference to me. Literally makes no difference to me at all. But I do think this is a decent time to DCA in. And so because of that, I did just add a little bit, just a tiny little bit. I bought it on a centralized exchange literally just now. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on Kaspa. Jasmy's in a spot. It's in a very interesting spot still. My thesis is still pretty similar to what it was last night. Last night I told you all that what we were seeing from Jasmy was rather risky to some degree, in the sense that we needed to watch the 0.02 level. That 2 cent level was going to be a tricky one. I said if we're capable of holding this 2 cent level and using it to build some support, we could easily continue to the upside. But realistically, like this is just risky, man. Like, this isn't necessarily something that I want to be fucking with. I would personally want to see if we're capable of finally clearing this point that we struggled to close above, right around 2.5 cents. And if we're capable of doing that, then yeah, sure. If we're seeing Jasmy break out of what could be this little bullish flag, break out to the upside of it, sure, I might buy a little bit of it, but I'm definitely kind of just being a little bit conservative with what I'm doing right now for Jasmy, because again, it's just risky. And if we lose this 0.019 level, we're going to be in a spot in which we could easily continue all the way back down to 0.016, 0.017. And that's just not a game I really want to play right now. We did obviously get some buy signals back here right around this 0.0199, the 2 cent level, right? So we got it before. So we obviously bought in a little bit there. I don't know if last night we got the 30-minute DCA plus feature flashing as well. So we did buy a little bit on stream. Well, my assistant bought me some crypto while I was on stream, saying I was buying because I had to stream, obviously. But he's sleeping right now. But anywho, so yeah, we bought a little bit. That's doing well. Since that purchase, roughly, I think he caught it like 30 minutes after that went off. It's up like 5 or 6%, which is really cool. But again, yeah, where I'm at with Jasmy right now from a more macro perspective is that I'm just kind of being a little bit more conservative with it. I'm not doing too much because I want to see that we're capable of breaking this range right around 2.5 cents before, then looking to hopefully continue up towards 4 or 5 cents. Okay. Now, next up, and maybe last, we might do a few more, but we're coming up towards the end of the stream here because I do have to get prepared for my meeting. Shiba Inu. My thesis is still rather the same. I kind of told you all with this thing, it was a good buying time, and I told you I was doing some buying down here. Obviously, on the 30-minute time frames, what you can see is we got that DCA plus feature. Did I put the garbage out? Yeah, I did put the garbage out. Sorry. The garbage man's outside. I'm like, oh shit, did I put the garbage out? But we did do a little bit of buying on Shiba Inu last night. It's now up roughly. I could just look in my phone, but that's okay. We're currently up to about 9.5 to 10%. So really cool. Again, that's why you don't miss these streams, right? Jump in. Whenever I say I'm buying, sometimes it does well. Sometimes it goes to shit. And that's obviously the fun part of the game. But what we're seeing with Shiba Inu right now is actually a pretty interesting move. What you can see is that we used this DCA plus feature to get that pump, right? This was a sign of an overextension. We used it, bam, broke to the upside. Once we broke to the upside, we ran into some major resistance. Okay, major resistance here and major resistance from a Fibonacci perspective. Let's show you this. Okay, so what happens is Shiba Inu runs up, boom, runs into the 618 to 786 box, is now getting resistance off this box and coming back down to back test its previous point of resistance into some support. And so now, knowing that this thing's trying to establish some support, what we need to go ahead and say is that, okay, well, that just means that it needs to now break into the 618 to 786 box. So what I would go ahead and say, the easiest way to play Shiba Inu right now is to say, if it's capable of breaking back above 3.5, or not 3.5, let's call it 35, okay? If it's capable of breaking above 35, it's now successfully taken this resistance, flipped it into support, and is now breaking into its macro 618 to 786 box. Now, obviously, there still is a risk that we'll run into some resistance up towards the top side of that box around, let's call it 36, right? But obviously, there's still a decent move there, right? There's a 4% move there, so it could be worth buying in. Now, if you want from a more macro perspective, what I would do, I would wait for it to clear 36 personally, because then that says, okay, look what happened. We came down. We set the higher low. We broke to the upside, back tested a resistance, flipped this previous point of resistance into support. So an RS flip, use that to clear a macro Fibonacci or a micro Fibonacci box. Cleared that micro Fibonacci box, and are now on our way to the top side. At that point, my price prediction then becomes roughly 0.0, let's just call it 40 to 43. Because obviously those are Fibonacci extensions, and that would put it in a position in which it can continue upwards. And so my whole thesis right now is that I would want to see Shiba clear 36 before I'm doing a ton of buying now. Now, the way that stacks up in terms of our macro Fibonacci for this entire move is actually pretty interesting, because what you can see here, beautiful, is that if we're capable of clearing into 36, that puts us into our macro Fibonacci. And if we break through this macro Fibonacci, then obviously the price target then becomes higher towards 53 and possibly on an overextension towards 64. So you see how these things kind of add up together, right? They kind of stack up over time. The first time that I would kind of get a little bit more bullish is if we see Shiba able to break above 36. Okay, boom. Once it gets above 36, might do a little bit of buying. If it's capable of clearing into 36, the next step that I'm looking for is to buy 40, is for it to break 40. If it breaks 40, then that puts us in a position in which the door can be open for the new range high, putting Shiba price prediction right around 53. So Buy number one for me would be looking right around this 36 level. Buy number two would be looking around this 40 level on a confirmed breakout, then expecting a continued move to the update. Okay, that's kind of the way I would play Shiba right now. I would maybe just let it relax for a little bit until then, because there is still a risk. There is still a risk right now. And the reason I'm not necessarily saying to buy right now, or at least in my opinion to buy right now, is quite simply because this, all right, this is a risk. This is an actual risk, and it's something you need to be aware of, is that this easily can happen. This easily can happen. Rejections off of this box can get very ugly very fast. And so because of this, and because of the fact that we're getting this resistance, I want to see this 36 level cleared first before I get a little bit more short-term bullish. Okay, that's my thesis on Shiba. We talked about Jasmy just now, if you just joined in. Go ahead and back. Darling is a little crazy. Darling's a little crazy. I don't think I'm very darling material, but if that's, your prerogative, whatever. Okay, and then let's end this thing off with, let's go into, where's Doge at? Here we go. This is Doge. Hold on, I want to get Doge's price. So we'll do Doge. Why not? Because I know some of you were asking for it earlier. I'm looking at Doge, and then we're gonna probably wrap this thing on up, peeps. So that thing gets me every time. So looking at Doge here, what you can see is that it's in a similar position. Okay. So Doge at this given point is now deciding whether or not it's going to break through the 618 to 786 box on a more short term. If it's capable of doing so, my price target would then be aimed towards around 0.19, which coincidentally does align very well with this previous high up here. Okay. And so what I would go ahead and say for Doge right now is that there is still a threat, right, of this thing pulling back out of it, but there is a decent chance it doesn't, right? It's kind of it's a 50-50 coin flip right now. So what I would say is if I'm going to for sure be buying this, like if I kind of have to, what I would go ahead and say is I would be setting a stop loss below this point of support right about here, 17.5 cents. Let's go ahead and call it. If it does lose, or 17.4, let's do that, 17.4. If it loses 17.4, I do think a continuation back to the downside is possible. Not only possible, I think that pullback could look like it pulling all the way to 16.7 to 16.4. And so obviously I wouldn't want to have a trade open or a buy open on Doge in that example or in that scenario. So because of that, if I'm buying Doge right now, I would be buying a little bit with the stop loss set right around that did I say 17.4? Yeah, 17.4 level. With the price target, hopefully price prediction, price target getting backwards of up to 18.5, maybe a little bit higher if we can get that extension up towards the 19 cent to 19.2 cent level. So not a terrible time to buy some Doge. I wouldn't personally. Again, this is another one. I wouldn't, because we bought, if you were using HG Algo, or just in general last night when the market started falling, you would have been buying down here. And so buying now is like, it's just not optimal. But if I had to be buying, I would set a stop loss under 17.4 with the price target sitting back towards that high or right around 18.4. Up here, a little bit of a higher one if you want, around 19.2. Okay, that's my overall price prediction. You guys know I use Fibonacci's for just about everything. I use a mixture of the Fibonacci's to the downside. When things are going down, I use HG Algo to the downside. And then when it's going up, I use Fibonacci's to the upside. And that's kind of just my thing. That's the way I work. It's worked for me for 3-4 years now, and I'm going to just continue to do it like that. So overall, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. My meeting is now in about 9 minutes. I have a couple, I can take 2 or 3 minutes if any of you have any questions in the chat that you'd like me to answer really quickly. But overall, to summarize, we got some very good news from the market today that ETNs were going to now be allowed in the UK to be submitted. They included Bitcoin, they included Ethereum. So that does set some precedent and open some doors that we could see some pretty bullish legislation coming out just regarding in general what is happening with with crypto over in the UK and hopefully further out into the rest of Europe. Okay, so that's obviously very good news. We'd love to see that. On top of that, I told you all guys, in those moments where the market pulls back during bull markets, you need to be buying. And we talked a little bit about a lesson as to what happens with these liquidations, why people get liquidated, and why things do get ugly. And so with that in mind, I just wanted to give you a quick update. I'm going to do these streams every now and then. They're easier for me to get news out to you instead of making full videos sometimes. So I hope you guys do enjoy them. I hope you do appreciate me just jumping on and kind of shooting the shit with you. And let me know. Solana price prediction by December. I think by December we could clear $400, $350 at some point this year. That's a guess. It's not a price prediction. It's a pure guess. That is not based off of anything but what my gut says. Okay. Okay, that's not talking to me. Okay, cool. Well, overall, guys, that's about it. Of course, I hope you guys do enjoy. Honk, shout out to you. Obviously, you've been up in the chat, so shout out to you. But I do appreciate you all for joining me this morning. I have some full videos releasing. I'm going to do one full one on Solana, one full one on Jasmy. talking a little bit more in depth about what's happening with their prices. So make sure you do subscribe to the channel if you do enjoy. Don't forget, you can use HG Algo for 20% off now with the links down in the description below. If you do want to trade, you also can use my Margex link down below. You will get a couple $100 of a sign up bonus if you do use that. But overall, I do appreciate you guys joining in. If you could, on the way out, just drop a like, letting me know you like the video, and subscribe to the channel to just let me know that you want to see more of them. But with that in mind, of course, I hope you guys did enjoy the stream, and I will see you all next time. Peace out, everybody.